Can I send you the repo I made so we can put some stuff on the board? Is that?
I'd rather, if you want to do that at the end, but I'd rather first be just a verbal pitch.
Okay.
Tell us what the problem is, what your solution is, how the solution will work, and then if you have some technical questions, we can discuss that after the pitch.
Hello. Okay. Oh, is it just me? Yeah. I feel like we should all come
Everybody
up.
come up. If it's three in the group, three come up, and let us know the name of your project, the title of the project first, and introduce yourselves as well, please.
Right, can you change everyone? I feel like this is a very strange presentation because there's more of us up here than there is over here. Okay, so I'm Morgan.
I'm Rebecca.
And I'm Ben.
So our idea for the project is we're going to create an AI to recognize the difference between two different classes, so two different groups. We spent a long time talking about what sort of things we should choose. As we spoke at one point about maybe doing like Pokemon, and we also spoke about maybe doing like cars, yeah. But then we decided with cars. You want to explain about the issue that we had?
The background might cause confusion for the input. Yeah. And then we eventually settled on a very, very common and very difficult problem that people really struggle to solve in day-to-day problems. Working out if something's a mice or a mice.
I don't understand. Hold on, explain that, please.
I mean, often, I've done this all the time. That I go to use my computer and I accidentally pick up my pet mouse, and my mouse gets really, really upset. So what we're going to do is that the user will enter a picture of either a mouse, like a mouse that you click, or like a mouse that eats the cheese. And then I don't know.
It will classify.
Yeah, it will then give you a probability and say, okay, this new image that I've never seen before is 70% likely to be a cheese mice, and it's 30% likely to be a computer mice.
What's the name of your group?
Use your group name.
So Avid Sea Haters.
Avid Sea. Oh, I like that that name. I can join your group actually. Okay, is that your pitch? What is your solution? Tell us a little bit about the technical details of how you're going to solve this problem. Can you define the problem a little more in a little more detail? So you're telling the difference between two things that are completely different objects but have the same name.
Yes.
That's essentially the project. And
yes.
Okay. I think I understand. And you've also picked the exact two things, so it's quite a very narrow problem that you're solving here. I'm just making sure I understand what you're.
Yeah, well, I think you were saying that the idea is we're going to have two different scripts. We're going to have a script in C, is that right? And oh no, sorry. Yeah, they're both in C, but a script in C that will train.
Yeah.
I mean, do you want to explain
that? It will work out the weights of the AI, the neural network, and then that will be saved as a text file for another C program to use. So you could feed in an image and the text file, which has all the weights, and it will run through and give you your output.
Okay.
So maybe it would be good then, I guess the next stage, if we get this working, it doesn't have to be between mice and mice. You could then retrain the model on another two sets of image.
Yeah. Or two inputs completely different.
Yeah.
It just needs a bit of restructuring.
Okay.
Do you want to say about the image processing as well?
Which was
pre-processing before it gets fed into the.
Oh, how are we going to do that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what we do is we just converted the image into grayscale, wasn't it?
So it was some sort of processing to make it easier
for the web or something like that.
Something to do so that I can just have like a standard to just understand and recognize the shapes and stuff.
Okay. This seems like this is my knee-jerk impression, and I want to talk through this a little bit. I'll give the first feedback. Megan and I will take turns in the future starting, but I'll go first this time. My knee-jerk on this is that it seems to be outside of the boundaries of the stuff we've covered in here. You mentioned neural networks. are you planning on doing this from scratch, or are you planning on using an existing framework? And if so, which one would you use?
From scratch.
Okay, that's very ambitious to do it from scratch. About how many training image library photos would you think you would need if you're doing it from scratch?
Probably quite a few.
So I think you can do it less than that because I found a demo. I'm sure you've used it, the Teachable Machine on Google.
Okay, so you're inspired by the Teachable Machines framework, is that right?
That's what I'd looked at and used previously, and that works pretty well with not that many images. You can do it with like 20 or 30 images.
Now, I haven't used Teachable Machines, but so I would call this, you haven't used this phrase, but I would call this a computer vision kind of project. You mentioned AI and you mentioned neural networks. I think the Teachable Machines, I think you'll find if you dug in there that it may have C compiled modules somewhere deep down,
Yeah.
but it would be based on Python and it would use an existing framework like PyTorch or TensorFlow. Are you familiar with those?
TensorFlow. What was the other one? Sorry.
PyTorch or
PyTorch.
TensorFlow. They're the two most popular ones. They both are implemented natively in Python. You can call them from other languages, but you have to have those libraries to use them. Not only that, another question I had when I asked about the training images, have you ever seen those old videos of computer nerds, chubby computer nerds in their cubicle from the 1980s who trained and demonstrated the very first computer vision numeral identification program?
You were talking about, right? No, not really.
Well, there's been a lot of water under the bridge then, but I happen to know that they used around 100,000 images of hand-drawn pictures when they made their first program from scratch of all those hand-drawn images. And you can still download not only the images, you can download the weights from their model. And since then, there have been hundreds, maybe thousands of computer vision models. And I just wonder, I have a concern that because we haven't covered this in the module, and you may have encountered teachable machines, and that actually may be a framework you can use. I'm not swatting it down, but one comment I have is about the technical details. It's quite ambitious, and it's way more ambitious technically to do a training from scratch. Not only that, you need some serious computing resources to do that, even if you grayscale the images. These are my comments.
Yeah.
I have another completely different kind of comment that maybe this will be easier one to start with. Is this ambitious enough? How many people have this kind of problem?
Yeah, that was sort of my sort of thought process while it was like, this is a solution that already exists.
Yeah.
This isn't something
You mentioned Pokemon. You mentioned Pokemon, and I mean the notes I took while you were talking briefly were that you mentioned AI to recognize two classes, which is quite narrow if you pick specific classes. Why only two classes, and why something that like the power of computer vision is to automate large numbers of things, or maybe to resolve large numbers of classes. And it's what they used to argue in the literature for this kind of thing is that if humans had to do 1,000 identification tasks for 100 different classes, humans would make, a lot of mistakes. And I don't mean they would make like 50% mistakes. I mean, they would make like 5% mistakes. And this is a kind of thing like the CAPTCHA tasks where, is that a bicycle wheel? I'm not sure on that square. So humans make about 5, even 10% of mistakes on some of this stuff. But with only two classes, especially if you've got, like full frontal pictures of your subjects, humans won't make very many mistakes between a living biological mouse and a computer mouse. And I'm just wondering again about the ambition and the motivation, for doing this.
The main reason we sort of settled on that was just pure because it was funny to go between computer mice and animal mice.
It is funny. Yeah, I'll give you
But-
that. I'll give you credit for that.
But it
I
would
think
be
it's funny
just
too.
as easy to do more things. Like if we did Pokemon, it would be just pretty much as easy, I imagine.
Pokemon,
I would have thought that by adding like 2 images is going to be a lot easier than 3 images, which is a lot easier than 4
It
images.
doesn't quite scale that way.
It's not, does it not scale like that?
let me indulge me for a second. You said Pokemon, and I instantly thought, no, that's a pretty fun idea.
Okay.
And how many Pokemon are there?
Out of the data set we found, it was
5,000 images.
I think, yeah,
It was a lot.
I mean,
Oh,
if
there
I,
are data sets out there, I'm
Yeah.
sure. There's about, I mean, my son loves Pokemon Go and other Pokemon things, and we play together sometimes. There are about 800 Pokemon across the decks and games and generations. But I still have that concern that this is almost outrageously beyond the bounds of this course, and I'm worried it's too ambitious for somebody that you're saying that you would do it from scratch. But
the maps is outside this course, but the coding isn't really.
the coding is not, but the algorithms that we've covered in this class can be constructed in less than 10 lines of code. And the algorithms for training a neural network, I mean, you're talking a big deal, And C is not the native language for this stuff. It's Python. Of course, we do cover Python in here. Are you guys, do any of you consider yourselves proficient in Python programming?
I would say, yeah, I've done other projects in the past in Python before,
I don't like Python.
but Ben doesn't like Python, right?
Well,
Yeah,
here's a suggestion. Here's a positive suggestion. My feedback to you at this time is to go and investigate the actual basis of the teachable machines and see if you can adopt that. I mean, because I know you've experienced it because some of the other lecturers have used it, and I'm interested in learning about it too. So if you think that's a feasible solution, but I also want you to consider the spirit of this assessment. Is this a unique problem that we need to solve? I like the Pokemon problem a little bit. I should say too that it may be because, I mean, this is an area of expertise and interest of mine, but when we started off doing these models, they're quite old now, and that puts you at a big disadvantage because that means there are decades of research and you're probably unaware of almost all of it. And the way that most people would train a unique model like this is it would be very foolish indeed for most problems, especially modest technical problems like the one you're proposing, to program your own model from scratch. And you'd have to learn, I think, quite a lot to do that if you haven't done that before. Although there are resources out there, but the point of this is to use the tools you put in your toolbox this term to solve a thing. And that makes extra work that I'm not positive it's reasonable amount of extra work unless you could adopt a framework like Teachable Machines. What most people would do is they would take an existing foundational model, like ImageNet is a popular one that's very small that you could do on a laptop or a reasonable modern computer, and then to train just a few new classes on the existing weights to add to them. That's a technique that we don't cover in this class, but we will cover it next term in the computer vision class. We'll do it actually in Python with PyTorch. And YOLO is a model, YOLO. You can look it up.
You only look once.
You only look once. And it's a famous model that very rapidly and efficiently, again, you can do it on laptops and computers as opposed to having to do it from the cloud. And you can do the transfer learning like I just described with it. But I'm still worried, even though these tools are out there and there are loads of tutorials and things like that, that it's too ambitious. And then there's also the point that, this is probably not a problem very many people have. The Pokemon one is fun. You could do that one, but I'm just worried that a AI computer vision project is just really wildly beyond the scope of what we're thinking about here. That's my feedback for now. What I advise you to do is to think about it. If you're going to go ahead with this one, what I would need from you, you know, at one of the sessions coming up in the next few weeks, is to talk a lot more about your research into teachable machines and how you could transfer that tool set to solve your particular problem. I'd also like to see a little bit of justification for, there's a bit by ambitious. This is very low on the scale of ambition for a problem that is going to positively affect the lives of others. But the Pokemon one is fun enough that is okay. We could overlook that, but I am worried about the technical feasibility. I'm going to pass it to Megan. Do you have any comments?
My comments are kind of similar. I think it's really ambitious technically, but I do question who you guys would think would actually be using your sort of thing, if it's mice versus mice. And whether there's a potential other sort of question or problem that you could make a similar project idea, but that might be more useful in comments, and you might have a bigger audience.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could do something more useful, like looking at the difference between two different plants and whether one plant has got like a disease on it or something. But yeah, Pokemon is more fun, right? Like,
yeah,
there are loads of these things. Again, that comment, just to add to what Megan said, is to make the distinction. This is going way outside the boundaries of the course. And if you did something like a plant disease detection or a cancer cell in a liver X-ray, or if you did something like identifying boundaries of farms from satellite images, these are all things that have been done thousands of times now. And so it's something that merely can be done. And there are resources, data sets that are already done for which they've already been done. There are tutorials on the web that have already been done because they can be done. So it's just to challenge yourself. Is this one of those things that you merely can do, or it should be done because there's a good motivation for it? Fun is a good motivation. That's why I still like the Pokemon idea. If you come up with an angle, because Pokemon are quite different. The best tasks here are an angle for the Pokemon. Just to give you an example of what's in my mind, is that a project that Megan and I have is identifying bird species based on small audio recordings of their song.
oh, wow.
And the motivation for that is that it's very difficult to collect biodiversity data, and you have to have a very high level of technical skill to do so. And so an AI that's very accurate at detecting calls not only is very efficient, it's cheap, and it's very accurate, and it does something humans can't do. So that's an example of a motivation for using a tool like that I need you to think about. You could transfer that kind of idea to the Pokemon idea, but I still have that big concern about the technical implementation. So, any other comments or questions for us?
Is this something that we should like, because if we start work on it and then, I don't want to be in a position at the beginning or the middle of January that we're like, okay, no, this is actually far too technically.
No, bring it back next week and, decide. I mean, I would decide, you have a chance now to come up with any idea that you want to work on. And the tools that we cover here, the big climax for this week is to connect a database with a web service and dynamic user input. And this is just completely different. It's like another galaxy compared to what we've put in the sandbox here. And I just have that concern that even though this stuff is exciting, I love it too. And I love it that you have pitched it because you're thinking about it. I am worried that it is just beyond the technical realm of feasibility here.
Yeah, we did have that conversation, didn't we? Where we were like, this is probably, I mean, like we've all done like projects probably similar in the past that we could have just submitted for this, but that doesn't really, if anything, that's less of a vibe of the
That
assignment.
is definitely less of a vibe. I don't like that. If people
So-
try to do that.
So yeah, doing something like I've never done this before.
Yeah.
Whereas, I mean, I've never done C before, but like if I were to do a project that I'd done in Python before, like that's something I've done before. Whereas doing this is
Let
you,
let me
you ever
put
done
it-
this
see,
before?
let me-
I've done a small project relatively similar to this with neural networks.
Okay, well,
From scratch.
So yeah,
yeah.
using a matrix library, but that I practically recreated in C, just in my free time while doing this project.
Yeah. I mean, just think about it. You need to justify this stuff. To me, the only thing I could see that could justify it technically, I mean, if one person has the expertise and has done something before that you could build on, that is a justification. But then it implies that really only one person's going to contribute to the project like that. Another thing that I think could work is if you were to investigate the teachable machines and say, here's how it's going to work, here's why it's feasible, here's why it's relevant, and here's, the motivation for it in a refined form. So these are things to think about. You can take this forward. You won't find yourself in January. You can get some feedback next week. I don't know if you plan on working all the holidays and being in contact over the holidays, but I hope you take a few weeks off so you won't miss much time. Megan, can you remind me when the project is due?
Like the 22nd.
Yeah, that's what
Sounds right.
It's 22nd. 22nd of January.
Of January. Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, if you take off the 2 weeks for the holiday, that would mean that, you got about 4 more weeks of work. And if you take off one of those weeks, that for the finishing up the problem sets, that means you got about 3 weeks of work if you take 2 full weeks off the holiday. And that's, to me, from what I'm hearing, that's cutting it pretty close to develop a neural network from scratch. So these are considerations. Bring it back next week and get some feedback. Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Much
You're welcome.
appreciated. Thanks
No
as well,
problem.
Megan.
All right. Thanks, guys. Next group. Any volunteers?
Morning, Ed.
How you doing, RP?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. Yourself?
Great. I'm ready to go, and I'm anxious to hear your pitch. Go for it.
Yeah. My project is creating a personal habit tracker. It's a web application designed to help user custom build and maintain positive habit. And I'm aim to include so far whatever we covered in this module, using Flask, Python, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and SQLite as a database. This is interesting to me because I've seen this podcast a couple of months ago, where the neurosurgeon was talking about how millionaire minds work differently, how their morning routine works. For example, she was talking about frontal cortex lobe, and she explained about the movers, where M stand for motivation, O stand for oxygenation, visualization, exercise, reading something positive in the morning, and scribbling out was not working. So I was always wondering if I can create something where I can create my customized habit. We do see people's, there are Fitbits or mobile phones where these pre-built habit comes up, but we can't customize it according to our need. So that's the idea. I got it from there and tried to implement it using all these tools. And so far it's working fine. Actually, I've got 2 versions. Before Bootstrap, obviously last week when I was working on a Bootstrap. So I tried to switch to Bootstrap rather than using CSS Tailwind. And it definitely has changed the UI, made it more quality-wise, which I liked it. So I got a screenshot with me at the moment.
Share your screen
Yeah.
so everybody can see.
I could put on a big screen, but Just a sec. Can you see that? Sorry. Or you
I
can
can
somehow
see
have to
you
make
on the
it
big
ourselves.
screen.
Yeah.
If you just go into your Teams and you
Yes.
hit the share button,
Yeah. Okay, I can do that. Yeah.
Are you on Teams?
I just need to update it was not this one. So,
It's share.
oh, you want me to share the screen?
Yeah.
Or screen? You want me to share the screen or?
yeah, share the screen so we can see the app you want to show us.
Okay.
That would be the easiest way, the best way.
If you click screen and then just go to your Word document.
Okay, yeah, we can see that.
Yeah, so this was the original. I've added up the YouTube link as well. I was actually creating a content README file, the content for the README files. So which is why I've just added up this, what I'm gonna add up, and I've checked through the criteria. Am I meeting the criteria or not? So this was the old one. And this is the latest one. That's how it looks like. So as you can see, on purpose, I haven't completed this one. So at the moment it's showing red. So the logic behind this one, this streak, how does it work? If the streak dates like it started, it would show red. And if it's less than or equal to 4 days, it will turn to amber, and else it was turn into green. And system won't allow the user to, it will only allow once a day to complete, and it's showing the streak days as counting it. And if they missed it, they will have to restart it. So they can give a name to the habit, give a small description what it's all about. And the key features, I've used it. Technically, it serves it serves an example of integrating front end and back end both. For example, the habit measurement using this CRUD idea, so where you can create, read, update, and delete the habits. And also the technologies I've used: Python, Web Framework, Flask, SQLite, front-end HTML, CSS, and JavaScript for dynamic updates. So a user can see on the dashboard whatever habit they have created, where do they stand. It's created kind of a positive vibe to make something action-oriented, seriousness, and motivate them to keep going on.
Okay, I mean, I think I get the idea. Let's go to some feedback. Megan, you start this time, please.
One more thing I wanted to add.
Sure. Go on. One more thing.
The last bit, obviously, it is scalable, so it has the potential to add more functionality. For example, I can add user authentication, so multiple user can use it. And I've seen the few days ago on a LinkedIn, the guy created a heat map on a Power BI, similar like we see on a GitHub. So there's a possibility it could create a heat map calendar that shows completion history. So that kind of idea it is.
Promising those features is dangerous, but I like it. Okay.
So try to cover it, whatever we have covered so far. And I must say, a few new things I have learned from past few weeks, such as JavaScript or Bootstrap, and the Flask. Few of the things were not clear to me. I remember that I started a few months ago. I was learning an online platform, this Flask app, because I knew how important it is Even if we want to use a project, any project, whether it's a RAM guy or us, wanted to do, but we need some UI platform for the user, how they're going to interact and interface it. That's how I come across and I started learning it. I started emotion detector using IBM Lab, but I didn't grasp the full concept. So because there are few ways to do that using Ginger template or index HTML. So now this concept is getting more clearer, and I'm working on it. That's all from me.
Get the idea. That was a good pitch. Megan, feedback, you start.
Yeah, so if I'm thinking of it from the perspective of someone that might use your system, the motivation behind your system is that I'm trying to develop a new habit, and I need help developing that new habit through the motivation of developing these streaks. Have you got any sort of thing in place that might act as a sort of reminder at any point, you know, like, oh, your streak's about to end, do your habit or anything like that?
Sorry, come again. Sorry.
Have you thought about sort of the implication of having like a reminder sort of function that could help with that extra motivation for people to maintain their streaks? And that's kind of the idea behind it.
Reminder, user already knew that. They knew that they got to complete it once a day. So even if they forgot it, when they're trying to log in next day, they will see that the color of the streak. And so it hasn't changed. So they knew where they stand. But I like it. I mean, reminders such as sending an email or text messages, or you haven't completed it, or like I said, it's scalable. I'm still working on it, so we can add more functionality. I think it would be, because at the moment it's only one user using it. So if I use this add up this authentication method, where multiple user can log in, and then I think add that thing, so where they can text message or some sort of email reminder, or you got to do this, or you missed that task for today. Yeah. I will try to add that. No problem.
Any other comments, Megan?
Not at the moment, no.
Okay, here's my comments. Brace yourself. I love it. You know, I think that it really hits the brief. I think using Flask is wise. I know you were trying on some different technologies earlier, but you've used the magic words, Flask, Python, and SQLite. That's perfect.
Yeah.
I was skeptical when you stood up there about the idea of a habit tracker.
Yeah.
The parts that convinced me about it were the fact that you were inspired by some of the modern psychology and neurobiology for, you know, how some minds are different from other minds. The billionaire mind, it's a very compelling idea.
Yeah.
I also love that you have a working prototype. You know, this is a very strong pitch you've done. I do have some constructive feedback as well.
Just if I could jump in before you give the constructive feedback, we have a visitor.
Okay, I'll say hello to Ed. Hello, Ed.
Hello, how are you doing, Ken?
I'm all right. How are you? We've got Dame Angela Eagle, the Minister for Food Security, with us as well. So can we just disrupt for a minute or two?
Sure, take your time. Happy to have you.
Thank you. So Ed leads our data science course.
Hello.
Hi, Ed.
Hello.
Sorry to interrupt your flow there. I was just
No problem.
thought I was going to learn about the billionaire mind, but so
We're all waiting to hear.
We'd all like to know. I think we can think of a few examples, but anyway, nice to see you. And I'm just here to visit the university and see what's happening with education and training in the agricultural field. So it's good to see you not only in the middle of agricultural fields, but actually moving into towns to try to attract some other people into what I think is a really important industry. But nice to see you anyway. And
Thank you
sorry
so
to
much for
interrupt your flow
visiting.
there.
It's lovely to have you. Interrupt us anytime.
Pleasure. Okay. Cheers.
Okay.
So if you are some of the first students who made the choice to study, you have no scripts.
Doing this.
I mean, for me, it's the fact that Hartford's got so many connections with industry,
Right.
and being in Telford is great. You know, you've got so many particularly engineering businesses
Yeah.
all around.
Yeah, because of the history of Telford.
Well, yeah, but yeah, but
And you're really getting transferable skills.
Right.
So obviously we quite like you to go into agriculture and transform. Let's have another agricultural revolution.
absolutely.
I'm in bed with that. But if that's what you decide not to do, you still have lots of skills that you find first. What about you?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm the same as well. Just the opportunities uni has to offer.
Because not everybody thinks that agricultural or this kind of stuff is applicable. So no question, know what it is.
I'm guessing you've been to like the Zero Hands Farm and everything.
I'm going.
Yeah, I haven't been yet.
Well, stop by here first.
Okay.
I'll be there, so.
Yeah. So many of our students will know traditionally what agriculture and farming is about, and you can see some of the knowledge that the students have had in soils and in the climate and environment. So these students are coming in with technical knowledge, and then we're going to introduce some of the farming and the agriculture to them.
It's quite exciting to get, university minds involved in looking at older issues and problems, but in a changing environment because of the challenges of climate change and what we're trying to do to restore some nature in the way in which we farm and make it more sustainable.
Yeah, may I say something?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not limited to just agriculture. I mean, it could be used in every domain, especially healthcare, finance. So, I mean, they are facing in agriculture anyway already, but it has potential to, use this technology in other domains as well.
The
Which
transferable skills.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think the minister would want us to make sure, understandably, that we are trying to get as many people. If food is the most significant thing that every individual has to gain access to, we want to get as many people to go into that agri-food industry.
Absolutely.
It's quite an exciting time potentially in terms of how we can transform what we do there and farm more sustainably. But I also absolutely accept that for all of you, you want to have skills that are transferable that you can sort of acquire maybe in one context, but use in others. Because I think that actually switching from one sort of specialism to another in the way that this kind of data stuff allows you to do might mean that you bring some really bright new ideas that kind of disrupt the way things have always been done in whatever the new context is.
Agreed.
So go for it.
Good.
Go for it. Nice to
Thank
meet
you.
you all.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
Bye.
I'll end my interruption now.
Thank you for visiting.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Megan's the lead in the Green Box project.
Sorry about that.
Continue.
Okay. Where were we? I think,
You're giving some constructive feedback.
yes, constructive feedback. My constructive feedback, well, I thought Megan was going to say this when she started giving feedback to you, but one of the things I was just imagining, well, how would I use a habit tracker like this that promises to turn me into the billionaire brain individual that maybe I could be, is I think that it would add an angle if there was some way to look at the habits that highly successful, highly efficient people have, and to, try to nudge your habits towards them. How is that implemented, or is it?
Yeah, I mean, it helping me. I've already tried to adopt it in my daily routine, and obviously not to be a billionaire, but generally, how does it help? And it does help if we try to adopt that concept. Especially, it helps you to cope with your stress, anxiety, or any sort of pressure if you just adopt that routine.
I think here's a thing I'll leave you with to think about, and you can bring this back, is if you're doing a habit tracker, that will track what someone is doing. A person who might adopt the use, and you can think of this in different ways. You might think of this: how does your work impact the world? This is a way of thinking about it. Is what's the motivation for somebody to adopt your app? If they were to adopt your app, they might say, right, let me just Google habit tracker, and they would come up with loads of habit trackers.
Yeah.
But if you said my habit tracker will turn you into the billionaire brain,
Yeah.
but you'd have to have some feedback to do that. Just think about that motivation, about what would make somebody adapt your.
Yeah, there is a way. I use that in using that Google Analytics for my website. How many people's clicking on that link, or you can.
Oh,
use,
you're talking about search engine optimization.
You can use.
No, I'm
few
talking about
words, so-
functionality of your app, the unique selling point that would make somebody said, I want RP's app, not just any old habit tracker, because it's the billionaire habit app. Just think about it. That's minor comment, because I really liked your pitch. I think you've thought a lot about it. It's very thoughtful, right in the pitch. So great job.
Okay.
Any final comments, Megan, or anyone? Nope. Okay. Next group.
Okay. Oh, thank you.
It's really cool. I like it. Sounds good.
Hello, Ed.
Hey, Kai.
So I have a very similar idea to RP, where but I want to do a progress tracker app. So I want to use like Flask or Python, and I want to try and like gamify progress tracking. So let's say you want to like lose weight or start a business, you have different tasks that you want to do. So like let's say you want to lose weight, you went to the gym that day, you've eaten healthy that day, you went on your walk, but each time you do a task, you get like experience, you get level up in the app. Because like other apps like Critique AI has a very similar thing where it sort of tries to gamify different processes, but however, it's quite expensive. You have to pay like monthly, I think it's like £20 a month for something ridiculous. So I want to try and make it more free and accessible to anyone. And I thought, if you manage to complete all your tasks in one day, so let's say you have three, complete all three, you get bonus experience. But if you only complete two, you just get the experience from the two tasks that you made. I thought that each time you like make a different level, you can get access to like more features. So you get different features like taking photos of like, let's say you want to build something, so you want to build like a clay model or something. You can take different photos on each day. Let's say like on a calendar, on the 1st of December, this is what it looked like, and on the 20th of December, this is now what it looks like. That's like a different way of progress tracking. So let's say you get to level 20 or something, that's where you can access that feature of being able to take pictures of your progress, and instead of just having it as like, oh, I did this. I think that's like my main idea.
Okay, I think I understand it. Here's some knee-jerk feedback for you. I like that you mentioned that you're using the existing frameworks and that it's a web app. So Flask, Python, HTML kind of thing. You'd need a database of some form as well. And constructing the interface is important. Here are my favorite parts of what you did, though. My very favorite part of your app idea is that there's gamification in it. And I love the idea of earning experience and leveling up. I think that's fabulous. Really good idea. A thing that the details were a little sketchy on, and maybe you've thought about this and you can explain now a little bit, or maybe you can go and think about it a little bit, is when I get the idea that it's a progress tracker that could be applied to any kind of thing that is a multi-step project in your life. I like the specific examples. Those were the best ones that made sense to me, like starting a business or doing something specific. I think you'd either need to think about coming up with a template that really makes it easy for somebody to evaluate the steps of starting a business or whatever it is, losing weight or whatever it is, or just provide those templates, simple examples that people can customize in a very minor way to realize your app. And maybe it would be easier to come up with several simple examples with the idea that you're going to expand this feature in the future. I think that would make a more coherent pitch and probably a more coherent user experience.
Yeah, I was thinking of having like two options. So one's like custom, you can make it all by yourself, or
Yeah.
like other templates.
Yeah.
But the examples of starting a business, it provides some simple tasks for you. So just like think of like a brand name, think of like a domain name, stuff like that. And the
Yes.
losing weight one, the simple, I went to the gym, I ate something. So yeah, I was thinking of doing that, having like templates.
I have just one very minor point of concern to mention, and you've added to it in a very small way with what you just said, is that you mentioned a number of features, like you mentioned a calendar, and then now you've mentioned that you do have the plan of having not only a customizable one, but also some specific templates. And just make sure that you don't get over ambitious, because putting in all these features can be hard and time consuming. So it needs to be feasible to do. Make sure that some simple ones that really make sense and really capture the imagination are the ones that are working, and then worry about the extra features. You can always promise some that are outside the scope of this project. But that's the end of my feedback. I think it's very good, very, very solid project. I like the idea, and I love the gamification. That's the thing that really drew me in. And I'll pass it to Megan.
Thank you.
Yeah, I didn't have too much else to really add. I also like the gaming sort of gamification and stuff. I guess my only question, if I was trying to think about it as someone using it, obviously as you get more XP, you're getting more access to other features. What happens when you get to a point where you've got so much XP points that you've sort of hit the limit and there's no more features available? Is there still a motivation there other than the intrinsic motivation for achieving your goal?
Yeah, I haven't really thought about that, to be honest. So when you get to like a really high level,
In some situations, like there might be like badges or something, or if you're doing it with team members or friends, whether you could have like a leaderboard feature or something, maybe like that, that would be really simple, might be another bit of motivation.
Yeah, I think perhaps like once you reach like the final level, might do like, you can like compete with like friends and stuff. Because I was thinking of having just like stats in general. So like a profile, like the amount of tasks you complete like your whole lifetime. I just try and increase them numbers. Like the amount of days that you complete like all your tasks. I think of doing something like that as well. I think that could be like motivation, just try and increase them numbers, trying to beat your friends and stuff. So
Just a sort of thing to think
about.
When you reach level 10, you could automatically start the project to become a billionaire. You could collaborate with RP. I like the idea. I think it's solid. I think it can work. I would just watch feature creep on a practical level and fine tune that gamification and the template idea. I do have one suggestion I didn't say yet, and I like the idea of a calendar, but you might consider some form of a visual Gantt chart that people use a lot to track things. That might be a neat feature, but I like it.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Good. Thanks, everyone. That was good. Good showing from everybody. I'm glad that everybody has thought of this stuff. We were able to give some feedback to everybody. If you have any questions or technical questions, bring them on. Try to keep up with Discord. I've had a little trouble doing that in the last couple of weeks because of things beyond my control, but we can start addressing this stuff as soon as next week in class as well. I won't be able to attend next week, but I will try to attend to some Discord over the holidays after next week, and I should be able to do that a little bit. Any final comments?
Since I don't know if we're going to see Ed the next time, I just want to say I've really enjoyed the last couple of problem sets. Have been fun.
Oh, great. I'm glad to hear that. I think these last couple they're much more ambitious and they cover a lot more ground, especially the one for today. But it's kind of important. And if you use the internet like we all do, it really tells you the last couple of sessions about how the internet works, really how it works. And better than that, it tells you how you can make the internet do work for you. And I find that incredibly exciting, even though I don't do it for a living. I just love it. So I'm glad to hear that you like it. I'm just looking at the time. Can I just take a quick survey? Ones or zeros in the chat. Is there anybody, put a 1 in the chat if you have gone through the notes, even to a small degree, and the 0 if you haven't started the notes for this week.
But
You like started looking or you finished? You started to
no,
look.
I haven't got through everything yet.
If you've started, it's a 1. Still only see the, okay.
I do like the videos though, because like I could watch them on the sofa, having my dinner before bed.
Okay.
It was great.
I think what I suggest is that you break off into your groups and just continue going through the notes as a group, because you'll need to. I think most people would need to finish the notes to really give a good go at the problem sets. We are due for another break. We can take 10 minutes and come back, and then we'll only have about 30 minutes left, and I need to step away for 5-10 minutes. So I'll still be here, and I'll see you back in about 10 minutes. And I wanted to make a comment about the lady who visited the member of the government, and she was visiting on behalf of Harper Adams as a specialist education provider. I mean, 95% of the courses are rooted in agriculture, and this is a new course along with the robotics and manufacturing and the business course that joins us here in Telford. And she may not have been aware that there's a separation, but quite right, RP, that you said the skills for these courses are transferable to many domains of knowledge, including agriculture and others. And I just wanted to make that comment that she wasn't aware, I think, that this is a bit separate from that, and that's fine. It's fine that she wasn't aware of that. I just wanted to acknowledge that. I'll see you guys in a few minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I think she is the DEFRA minister, so her thing is agriculture.
Yeah.
So
Ken was stressing. He was like,
I did also catch the reference to the green box, so I'm glad of that too.
yeah.
green box.
Oh yeah, as Palmjet was walking out the door, he was telling her about the green box, which is the acoustic bird station thing that we have set up.
Is that what the thing where you listen to the bird call? Is that what Ed was talking about?
It's the AI bird
Oh, that's what that's
biodiversity capture. Yeah, it's a piece of hardware as well that we developed here at Harper. So you'll encounter this. You definitely will encounter it if you take the data science edge computing Arduino class. We'll use it as a foundation for that. I'll see you guys in a few.
better. You basically do loads of multiplication.
Stop the recording here.
So it's a way, it's what's called. So